Hello there, my friend. I hope you're feeling calm and comfortable today. Welcome back to Easy English Podcast. My name is Adam, and I'm happy you're here with me again. In this episode, we're going to slow down, breathe deeply, and talk about something simple but meaningful. Our weekend. Weekends can feel different for everyone. Some people travel, some people rest, some spend time with family, and some just enjoy a quiet moment alone. Today, I want to share a peaceful weekend story with you. While you listen, you can practice your English listening skills step by step, word by word, without any pressure. Just relax, follow along, and let the language flow gently into your mind. My weekend started on Saturday morning. Unlike busy weekdays, I didn't set an alarm. I allowed my body to decide when it wanted to wake up. The first thing I noticed when I opened my eyes was the soft light shining through the curtains. The sunlight was gentle, not too bright, like a friendly reminder that a new day had begun. I lay in bed for a few extra minutes, enjoying the warmth of my blanket and listening to the quiet sounds around me. The room was still, the air felt fresh, and there was a faint scent of morning dew drifting in through the slightly open window. It was peaceful, exactly the kind of start I needed. After a short while, I sat up slowly and stretched my arms toward the ceiling. I felt a small pop in my shoulders, the kind that tells you your body is waking up. I smiled. It felt good to take my time. Then I swung my legs over the side of the bed and let my feet touch the cool floor. The contrast between the warm blanket and the cool floor reminded me that it was time to move. I stood up and walked to the window, gently pulling the curtains aside. Outside, the sky was a soft pastel orange, and a single bird sat on a branch, singing a quiet song. I watched for a moment, breathing in the calm. Next, I headed to the bathroom. The tiles were cool under my feet. I splashed cold water on my face, and the refreshing feeling helped me wake up fully. I looked into the mirror and greeted myself with a soft, "Good morning, Adam." My hair was a little messy, and my eyes were still adjusting to the light, but I felt grateful for a new day. I brushed my teeth carefully, paying extra attention to my wisdom tooth, which had been a little tender recently. I didn't want to feel any discomfort, so I brushed gently. Leaving the bathroom, I walked into the kitchen. The house was silent, filled only with the faint hum of the refrigerator. I turned on a small lamp near the counter, giving the room a warm glow. My first task was making tea. I chose ginger tea because it feels warm and soothing on cool mornings. I boiled water in the kettle, dropped a tea bag into my favorite mug, and poured the hot water over it. As the tea steeped, I watched the steam rise and smelled the spicy aroma. It felt comforting. For breakfast, I needed something soft because my wisdom tooth was still sensitive. I decided on oatmeal. I poured oats into a small pot, added milk, and slowly stirred while it warmed on the stove. The oatmeal became thick and creamy. I added a drizzle of honey and a few slices of banana on top for natural sweetness. Simple, warm, and gentle. That was my goal. While breakfast cooked, I stood by the window again. Outside, I saw a neighbor walking their dog. The dog wagged its tail as it sniffed around. There were also a couple of birds hopping along a fence. The world was waking up slowly, just like me. When the oatmeal was ready, I sat down at the small kitchen table. I took a slow sip of tea, feeling the warmth spread through my body. Then I ate one spoonful of oatmeal at a time. I didn't check my phone. I didn't turn on any music. I just listened to the quiet sounds, the soft ticking of the clock, the distant chirping of birds, and the gentle rustle of leaves outside the window. By focusing on each bite and each sip, I allowed myself to truly enjoy the moment. No rush, no deadlines, just presence. After breakfast, I rinsed the bowl and cup. Keeping the space clean helps my mind feel clear. I filled my mug a second time with hot water for more ginger tea, then carried it to the living room. I sat on the couch, wrapped a light blanket around my shoulders, and opened a notebook. Writing in the morning is one of my favorite habits. It helps me capture small thoughts and feelings before they disappear. I wrote about the soft sunrise, the taste of ginger tea, and the sound of quiet inside my home. I also wrote a short list of things I wanted to do during the day. Go for a gentle walk, visit the local park, read a chapter of my current book, and cook a simple dinner. Writing goals keeps me mindful but not stressed. Around 10 o'clock, I put on a comfortable hoodie and jeans, slipped into my walking shoes, and stepped outside. The air was mild. I zipped up my hoodie, took a deep breath, and started walking down the street. I zipped up my hoodie, took a deep breath, and started walking down the street. I passed a small grocery shop. The shopkeeper was arranging a fresh display of fruits. He waved at me, and I waved back. I appreciated his friendly smile. I thought about stopping in for bananas, but I decided to wait until the walk back. I wanted to enjoy the park first. As I continued walking, I noticed the gentle sway of tree branches overhead. The leaves whispered quietly in the breeze. I passed a woman pushing a stroller, and she smiled at me. A dog trotted alongside its owner, tail wagging happily. The community felt warm and welcoming, even though people were going about their own mornings. I reached the park entrance and paused to admire the scene. Families were setting up blankets on the grass. A group of teenagers were kicking a soccer ball back and forth. Near a bench, an elderly man fed small pieces of bread to pigeons. Everyone seemed to be enjoying the simple joy of a Saturday morning. I walked along a paved path that wound through the park. The path was lined with tall trees. Their shadows danced on the ground. I found an empty bench under a large oak and sat down. I took out my water bottle, drank a few sips, and looked around. Kids laughed as they chased each other. Two friends sat on the grass chatting and laughing softly. The scent of freshly cut grass drifted through the air. My mind felt clear. My heart felt calm. After sitting for about 20 minutes, I stood up and continued walking. I stopped at a small pond where ducks swam lazily. I watched their gentle movements across the water. Occasionally, one duck would duck its head beneath the surface, searching for food. The quiet ripples spread outward in perfect circles. The scene felt like a peaceful painting. I snapped a mental picture to keep for later. Finally, I left the park and walked back toward home. On the way, I stopped at the grocery shop and bought a few bananas. The shopkeeper picked out the ripest ones and handed them to me with a smile. I thanked him, placed the bananas in my tote bag, and continued on my way. As I neared my house, I felt a gentle fatigue in my legs, a pleasant reminder that I had moved and breathed deeply. When I arrived home, I took off my shoes and placed them neatly by the door. I headed to the kitchen, set the bananas on the counter, and made another cup of tea, this time chamomile for relaxation. I carried the tea to the couch, pulled the blanket over my legs again, and opened my book. The book was about a traveler exploring quiet villages and meeting new friends. I read slowly, savoring each sentence. Occasionally, I paused to sip tea and imagine the places described in the story. The afternoon light streamed in through the window, creating a gentle glow around me. About an hour later, I placed a bookmark between the pages and closed the book. I decided to take a short nap. I set a timer for 30 minutes, lay down on the couch and pulled the blanket up to my chin. I closed my eyes, focusing on my breath, in and out, slowly. Eventually, I drifted off. I woke up feeling refreshed. The nap had done its job. I stretched my arms, feeling energy return to my body. Outside, the sun had moved lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the room. I returned to the kitchen and prepared a simple afternoon snack, a slice of toast with peanut butter and a few banana slices on top. I munched slowly, noticing the creamy texture and sweet taste. After my snack, I decided to tidy up a bit. I dusted the bookshelf, watered the plants by the window, and folded a few blankets. Each small action felt purposeful. When I finished, I checked the clock. It was almost 5 o'clock, time to start thinking about dinner. I took out some rice, washed it carefully, and set it in a pot to cook. I chopped vegetables, carrots, zucchini, and bell peppers into small pieces. I sautéed them gently in a pan with olive oil, garlic, and a pinch of salt. The kitchen smelled wonderful. While dinner cooked, I thought about recording a short voice message for you, my listeners. I imagined your faces in India, Thailand, the United States, and many other places. I imagined you listening carefully, trying to understand each word, practicing your English step by step. I felt grateful to be part of your learning journey. I smiled. I tasted the vegetables to make sure they were tender, then lowered the heat so they could simmer quietly. The rice began to give off a soft, familiar aroma. It reminded me of calm family dinners when I was a child, when everyone gathered around the table without rushing. While the food finished cooking, I set the table with a single plate, a fork, a spoon, and a glass of water. I lit a small candle in the center for a gentle glow. It was a small gesture, but it turned an ordinary dinner into a peaceful ritual. When everything was ready, I served myself a portion of rice and vegetables. I carried the plate to the table, sat down, and closed my eyes for a moment. I took a deep breath, noticing the smell of garlic, pepper, and the subtle sweetness of the carrots. I opened my eyes, picked up my fork, and began to eat slowly. Each bite felt nourishing. I chewed carefully, allowing the flavors to settle on my tongue. Between bites, I sipped cool water. I thought about how lucky I was to have a warm meal, a safe home, and time to rest. I whispered, "Thank you," to the moment itself. After dinner, I cleaned the dishes and wiped the counter. The sound of running water and the clink of utensils became a quiet song. I dried everything, put the dishes away, and blew out the candle. The kitchen returned to its normal calm. I checked the time. It was nearly 7 o'clock. Evening had fully arrived, and the sky outside was turning a deep blue. A single star appeared, shining faintly above the rooftops. I decided it was a perfect time for a short evening walk. I grabbed a light jacket, slipped on comfortable shoes, and stepped outside again. The air felt cooler than it had during the day, carrying a faint scent of blooming night flowers. The streetlights glowed softly, casting long shadows on the pavement. I walked slowly, hands in my pockets, breathing in the night air. I passed the same grocery shop. It was closing for the night, but the owner waved at me through the glass door. I waved back and kept walking. As I strolled, I saw a cat perched on a low wall, grooming its fur. It paused, looked at me with bright eyes, then went back to its quiet task. Farther down the street, a small cafe was still open. Warm light spilled out of its windows, and inside I could see a few people talking quietly over cups of coffee. The gentle hum of conversation mixed with the sound of a soft jazz tune playing in the background. I continued on, enjoying the peaceful scene without feeling the need to enter. At the corner, I turned toward a quiet residential block lined with trees. Their leaves rustled softly in the evening breeze. I noticed small details: a balcony with fairy lights, a parked bicycle with a woven basket, a potted plant catching moonlight. Each detail felt like a note in a gentle song. I walked until I reached a small park. During the day it was full of children and families, but now it was nearly empty. I sat on a wooden bench and looked up at the sky. More stars had appeared, and the moon, a thin crescent, hung like a delicate ornament. I stayed on the bench for about 20 minutes. I thought about nothing in particular, just breathing, watching, and listening. Every now and then, I heard the distant sound of a car passing on a main road. Occasionally, a leaf drifted gently to the ground. The quiet was soothing. After a while, I stood up, stretched, and started the walk back home. When I reached my front door, I paused for a moment and looked up at the night sky one last time. I felt calm, grounded, and grateful. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, and locked it behind me. I hung my jacket on a hook and went to the bathroom for a warm shower. The water flowed over my shoulders, washing away the small fatigue of the day. I stood under the stream with my eyes closed, letting the warmth relax my muscles. When I finished, I dried off, brushed my teeth carefully around my sensitive wisdom tooth, and put on soft pajamas. In the living room, I turned on a small desk lamp. Its light was gentle, casting a warm glow on the walls. I sat at my desk, opened my audio recording software, and checked my microphone. I decided to record a short voice note to my podcast listeners. I pressed record and spoke softly. Hello, my dear listeners. It's Adam. I hope you had a peaceful weekend. Today I enjoyed a simple day, soft morning light, a gentle walk to the park, a quiet evening under the stars. I'm grateful for these small moments. I hope you find time to breathe and to notice the beautiful details around you. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon. I stopped the recording, saved the file, and sat back in my chair. I felt happy knowing that somewhere in India, Thailand, the United States, and many other places, people would hear my voice and feel connected. I closed the software, switched off the lamp, and went to my bedroom. When I reached my front door, I paused for a moment and looked up at the night sky one last time. I felt calm, grounded, and grateful. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, and locked it behind me. I hung my jacket on a hook and went to the bathroom for a warm shower. The water flowed over my shoulders, washing away the small fatigue of the day. I stood under the stream with my eyes closed, letting the warmth relax my muscles. When I finished, I dried off, brushed my teeth carefully around my sensitive wisdom tooth, and put on soft pajamas. In the living room, I turned on a small desk lamp. Its light was gentle, casting a warm glow on the walls. I sat at my desk, opened my audio recording software, and checked my microphone. I decided to record a short voice note to my podcast listeners. I pressed record and spoke softly. Hello, my dear listeners. It's Adam. I hope you had a peaceful weekend. Today, I enjoyed a simple day, soft morning light, a gentle walk to the park, a quiet evening under the stars. I'm grateful for these small moments. I hope you find time to breathe and to notice the beautiful details around you. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon. I stopped the recording, saved the file, and sat back in my chair. I felt happy knowing that somewhere in India, Thailand, the United States, and many other places, people would hear my voice and feel connected. I closed the software, switched off the lamp, and went to my bedroom. Before sleeping, I opened my notebook one last time and wrote a few lines. Today was a gentle day. I woke up slowly, drank ginger tea, walked in the park, fed my body with warm food, and fed my soul with quiet moments. I felt the breeze, tasted sweetness, saw the stars. I am thankful. I placed the notebook on my bedside table, turned off the light, and climbed into bed. The sheets felt cool and clean. I lay on my back, took a deep breath, and released it slowly. I listened to the silence. I thought about how each simple moment had added up to a peaceful day. With that thought, I closed my eyes and drifted towards sleep, ready for whatever Sunday would bring. And so my Saturday came to an end, a day of quiet joy, gentle care, and peaceful observation. Nothing extraordinary happened, yet everything felt meaningful. Sometimes slow moments are exactly what we need to remember, the beauty in everyday life. I hope sharing my weekend helps you find your own calm and inspires you to notice the simple joys around you.